Welcome to Flipping Out with your host, Paul Lizell, your leader in virtual wholesaling and investing in today's real estate market. Each week, he will be joined by some of the biggest players in the real estate space who will share their experiences, knowledge, insight, and tips for making it big in the industry. And now, here's your host, Paul Lizell.
Hello, everyone. Paul Lizell here with Flipping Out, your host. And in today's episode, we get into virtual wholesaling, and I explain quite a bit here. Give a backdrop on virtual wholesaling when I got into it, which I started virtual wholesaling back in 2009 and have been doing it for the last decade here. And I kind of get into how I started from my local market, expanding into other markets, and eventually blanketing and buying all over the continental United States. And actually not even just continental, but I have bought and sold in Alaska, rural Alaska. Have not bought in Hawaii yet. That may be one coming, but I kind of get into how I got into the whole virtual wholesaling mindset. And it is totally a mindset. It's a mindset you need to get into. On the back half here, after that episode, I have a couple of updates. One on the student loan crisis that's going on, how much student loan debt there is, and how that affects our future in real estate investing as far as millennials and the next generation, with what it'll look like for them. And then lastly, I have a real short, few minute video on an auction.com update, which just talked about the status, kind of little short update on the status of sales of real estate all across the country and which markets are getting affected. And I'll do a deeper dive in that into another episode. And we'll hit target markets. We'll talk about what markets have a good outlook for the future, what markets look like they may be hit by a downturn, because we are going to get into a different market here. We've already entered it. Sales are showing that. We're just in the beginning phase of that. Anyway, sit back and enjoy this episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flipping Out. This is your host, Paul Lizell, and today's episode, we're going to get into my favorite topic, virtual wholesaling. All right, let's jump right into it here. So this is a virtual wholesale deal that I did years ago. I'd say this dates back to 2013 timeframe. This was a bank-owned property I bought in Bushkill off auction.com. Picked this thing up for $22,500. Enjoyed it for a couple of years. Used it, myself and the family used it for skiing because it's near ski resorts up there. And they also have a lot of different things in this HOA community, which made it a heck of a lot of fun. And also did this as a short-term rental back in the day, the VRBO, not the Airbnb. That was before Airbnb. And I did this through a little company called Flip Key, and we did pretty well. I think we averaged around $1,800 to $2,000 a month renting it with that short term through Flip Key. It was a lot of maintenance there. And I had somebody come in and offer me $70,000 to buy it as is. So I ended up selling it for, it was probably $45,000 somewhere there in net profit. Not bad on a 22.5 purchase and probably 10 to 15 renovations put into the property. But virtual wholesaling to me is far and away the most fun thing. I thoroughly enjoy it. My favorite thing, most of the properties we don't see. And it's kind of interesting because most investors I deal with and talk to find it the scariest thing on earth. Most investors want to get out there, put boots on the ground, take a look at the property, see, visually inspect everything, and they just aren't comfortable unless they do that. So that's the difference between just being an in-your market investor and a virtual investor like myself. And I think virtual investing will become more and more commonplace down the road here. Everything is available online here for you to be able to go and take a look at properties without yourself going to visit it. You can have people go there. You can speak to realtors about it. You can get video, you can get pictures, you can get lock boxes put on there, you can get the locks changed on it. You can do everything without ever stepping foot on a property, which is what I do with probably 95% of the properties that I get. And virtual wholesaling obviously allowed me to enter new markets. So I started in the Pennsylvania market, stretched it out and went into Indiana and Ohio, Pittsburgh, which is Western Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and it just started building and going from there. Once I got into these other markets, I started to learn the different nuances of them. I realized, it's not that hard to learn a new market. Spoke to a few wholesalers in these markets. And by the way, that's going to be your best resource for learning a new market is talking to other wholesalers. They can tell you the zip codes that are going to be good. They can tell you the zip codes that are not going to be very good. They can tell you what type of market is, whether it's a buy and hold market, whether it's a fix and flip market, or whether it's a dead market, right? There's markets, and I own a property, a couple of them actually in Youngstown, Ohio. That's kind of a dead market. There's not a whole lot of jobs out there. Now it is starting to grow and come back a little bit, but it is still an old, coal town, and just there's not a whole lot available. Same with Scranton, Pennsylvania, which had been, and Wilkes-Barre, which had become old. They were old coal towns, but now new industries are starting to move in there. They're starting to revitalize. These are good up and coming locations to invest in. So that's kind of one of your jobs when you're in virtual wholesaling is to find what is the up and coming market. What is the next market to be your up and comer? It was Denver, Colorado in 2009. That's where Silicon Valley has basically moved to out in the Colorado area. A lot of business out there. So that's your first job as a virtual investor and virtual wholesaler is to learn new markets. Now, this is a snapshot from back in 2017 when I was over at the Note Expo in Dallas, Texas. And that's one of the other great aspects of being a virtual investor. You can travel all around. And what I wanted to learn what the Dallas market was like. Dallas, obviously, a really hot market, very hot. A lot of businesses moving there. Toyota's got that new plant in Plano, Texas, just north of Dallas that they've built that we're in the process of building, which is creating all kinds of new jobs. You have a lot of companies moving from California to Texas because of the tax advantages. I believe you're paying 12, 13% state tax in California, plus other local taxes potentially and regulations out the wazoo. Then you go to Dallas, Texas, where you have no state income tax, much better regulations, much lower level, makes it much easier for businesses to move and to really build. You also have lower paid employees for the most part than you're gonna get in California, just because the cost of living in California is just so extraordinarily high. So this is an important, very important factor when you're looking at in investing in other markets. And get into a little bit in this article here. Again, I wrote this article a couple of years ago, but it is still up to date as far as to what is pertinent. And Dallas, to me, is a tier 1 market, obviously a big market, big population boom. Right. So that's a very big market to be in. And, there's tier 2 markets, your smaller level markets, right? You got tier 3 markets. Tier 2 would be like a Philadelphia, would be like a St. Louis. Your tier 1s are going to be Chicago. They're going to be LA. They're going to be Boston. They're going to be New York, Dallas. Your tier 2 will be, Phoenix. Your tier 3 will be Tucson, Arizona, where I invest quite a bit and have over the years and still continuously do. Then you have your tertiary markets. You get into the 4, 5, 6 that get way out there, more out into the hills, the mountains, lower population densities. And these are just different markets. 1, they're great to be in because you have less competition. 2, they generally are up and coming markets. So if you're looking to buy and hold, those would be the markets to buy and hold in my personal opinion. Because the tier 1 markets, they already hit their growth. Not that rents won't go up there, but they may not go up to the same level that they're going to go up in the tier 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 market. And, there's areas that you look at that are lower taxed markets. Indiana and Ohio, very low tax markets, lower cost for labor in those markets. So those are, and Louisiana, right? Alabama. That's why you have a lot of these car factories move into these markets. Well, these markets have lower cost of labor. And as a result, these companies will be able to turn around and sell their products for higher profit. Just makes total sense. Why wouldn't you do it this way? So that these are great markets to be into. And as a virtual wholesaler or virtual investor, you don't have to be just a wholesaler. You could virtually invest and hold rentals in these markets, or do wholesaling or small scale or even large scale fix and flips if that's your desire. A couple examples here, some real rural areas, Boonville, Indiana, where I've purchased properties. Again, you can get properties very inexpensively here in these markets and turn around, make good profits on them. Your ROI could be through the roof in some of these. You're not going to have that same ROI in a Philadelphia or St. Louis or Dallas or Orlando or Miami market as you're going to get in an Allentown, PA. By the way, Allentown, big warehouse up there for Amazon.com. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if Amazon puts another headquarters there in the eastern side, just because one, PA state tax is only 3.8%. It's pretty low. You do have some local municipality taxes, generally 1% or so. I'm not sure whether Allentown charges one there or not, but that is a great location for them. Easy to get to New York, New Jersey, Washington, and the Northeast, and even to the South Central and Southeast from there. All right, now I'm going to get into methods of acquiring inventory. And for us, you know, going back in 2013, I was still doing yellow letter campaigns. And again, I would do those locally. So virtually, no, not as much with the yellow letter campaigns. You can do yellow letter campaigns virtually. It just becomes a little different, whether you're sending postcards or whatever. This is direct mail marketing. For those who don't know what the yellow letter is, the yellow letter is bright yellow paper, you know, so it catches people's eyes, looks like it's handwritten, but there's cost, you know, there's cost in yellow letter campaigns that you don't have when you're buying off the MLS, buying REOs, or buying off of online auction platforms, or even the sheriff sales. And the sheriff sales, I don't get into, haven't done those. That's a whole other animal. We're not going to get into it here, but there's other risks involved with that. So let's get into, again, the methods of acquiring inventory, for how we do it, what your deposits are, what your marketing costs are. So zero marketing cost, obviously, when you're buying online auctions and buying off the MLS. You generally have deposits anywhere from $5,000 or $500 to $5,000. And in auctions, depending on what level property you're buying, you're going to be in a $2,500 minimum to $10,000 deposits. When you are doing direct mail marketing, you're going to have far lower deposits, right? Most people put a $10 deposit. Some people don't like that, so they'll put 100. I'll put 500, maybe up to 1,000, depending on the deal. If I know it's a great deal, I don't mind putting more on. I'll put $1,000 on. Otherwise, I'm putting as minimal as possible so I can get out of the contract with as minimal risk as possible. Again, you're going to be spending $3,000 to $5,000 a month doing direct mail campaigns. So that is your risk with those. We stopped this. We cut this off at the end of 2013 and buy exclusively off online auctions and off the MLS and from word of mouth. So there's different positives and negatives, obviously, to either of these. But in our opinion, the best way to do it, beginning investor wise, online auctions are great. Hey, if you have 5 or 10K that you can play with to be able to put down as deposits, you're going to get $7, $10, $12, $15,000 wholesale fees on these properties when you resell them. So you're going to be able to build some income that way without having to do the direct mail and wait 3 to 6 months to start getting action on properties from your mailings. When you're making offers on the MLS or buying on online auctions, you can get them within 30 days, sometimes less. So our newest student, he was able to pick them up. Trey, his name is, he was able to pick up 3 properties in the first 30 days. Turned around, sold 2 of them quickly, paid for his whole education and then some in his first 2 deals. Third deal is under contract to be sold. Again, it's all going to be extra profit for him. That one he listed on the MLS to sell. And he has a 4th one under contract now. So you can really get into action right away doing online auctions, doing it through auction.com, Hudson and Marshall, Zome, Realty Bid, HUD Home Store, Home Path, Home Steps. These are all methods for you to jump in there and get in there right away. So now find your paradise. What is your paradise? What is your preferred way to do virtual wholesaling? Do you want to pick 5 markets? Do you want to pick 10? Do you want to open up to the whole country like I do? I bought in 42 out of the 50 states. So, and I will let the deal dictate which states I'm going to be in. Just so happens that lately this year, we've had 5 deals in Wyoming. Haven't had a deal before this year in Wyoming. There's only 522,000 people that live in Wyoming. It's mostly federal game land and parks in Wyoming, but this is just the way the ebbs and flows go here. A lot of times it's Louisiana or Texas or the Carolinas, or there's always good inventory in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So there's always a bit around me in my local market. And there's always a bit more on the MLS because of that as well. But find your paradise, find what you want to do, what markets you want to be in. Perhaps it's a place you like to vacation in. Maybe you like the vacation in Charleston, South Carolina each year. And if you do, or Hilton Head. And if you do, you start to look for properties down around those areas. Hey, it might be another excuse to take another vacation that year, even if it's just a long weekend, to go look at a few properties you're going to want to bid on in an upcoming auction. Look, there's all kinds of different ways to skin a cat here. It's whatever your preference is. My preference is I like to do a little bit of everything. I buy all over the country. I occasionally go visit these properties, but I haven't visited a property in the last 2 years that I bought out of state. So you don't have to. Technology just continues to make it easier and easier for me to do this business. I like to look at myself as the pioneer in doing this. I'm not sure how many other people that are investors out there have bought in 42 out of the 50 states. There may be others, but I don't personally know any. I know there's people that bought in several different states, or they focus on 5 to 10, or they focus on just a few different ones. But whatever your paradise is, whatever you're looking to do, that's what I recommend. Hit those markets. You already may know those markets. You may know what it's like to, as far as the cost there, as far as if it's an up and coming area, as far as if it's, an area where companies are moving out of, all important factors, right? So, and then also find your paradise in, do you want to do a fix and flip? Do you want to be a buy and hold investor? Do you want to strictly wholesale? Or do you want to do owner financing? You could pick one, or you could pick all. I personally use all of them. I use every different exit strategy. Our first initial exit strategy is always wholesale. If we can't wholesale it, make the money we want, we'll go to the next one. Is it owner financing? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Or is it wholetailing? Does it only need a few items to repair to be able to get this thing up to snuff, to be able to turn around and put on the MLS and make some decent money on it? Does it need a full scale fix and flip? If so, maybe we reach out to an investor partner in that area, say, hey, do you want to do a joint fix and flip on this property? We purchased it. You do the rehab on it. Let's split it however you decide it, 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, 75-25, whatever you decide. That's up to you to do. But there's so many different exit strategies, so many different ways to acquire property out there, so many different ways to make profit. I mean, it's just endless. And I want to make sure everybody knows that here. And here's a couple examples of properties I bought online auction here. Paid $8,000 for it, turned around and sold this thing, made decent money on it. I want to say we sold it for 20-some thousand. This one right here, 12.5 we paid for it. I actually regret getting rid of this one. Could have put 20 into it, sold it for 100. Here's one we bought in land sale. This one's very local to me. This was after pictures here. This was a full scale rehab. We dropped 40 to 45K in this one, picked it up for 68, sold it for 190. Huge profit on this one. There's just so many different ways to skin a cat, guys. I just want to let you know, pick your exit strategy or exit strategies. You don't have to be married to just one. Continuously look at different options. And again, find your paradise. Virtual wholesaling is the most fun thing I do. I love it. I live it. It allows me to take multiple vacations each year. It allows me to live the virtual lifestyle of my choice. And whatever that choice is for you, go find it, go do it. If you're looking for a mentor or somebody to teach you how to do this, we do have an educational platform. We can show you from A to Z and hold your hand at a highest level possible you could ever want. We can also just send you our more basic program where we overlook deals for you. Whatever you're looking for, we can help you with. If you know a mentor out there, utilize them. Maybe you partner with them. However you want to do it, go ahead and do it. But virtual wholesaling is the future. It's been another episode of Flipping Out by Paul Lizell. See you at the next one. How would you like to have a full or part-time business that allows you to create a flexible work schedule around your busy lifestyle? Would you like to earn between $60,000 and $500,000 annually working from the comfort of your own home? If so, then virtual wholesaling may be the business for you. Contact us at reoauctionacademy.com and find out how to get a jump start on building a cash flowing machine without the headaches of dealing with contractors and homeowners. With an investment starting as low as $7,000, you can be well on your way to living the virtual investing lifestyle of your choosing. Hello, fellow virtual investors. I want to go over student loan debt. I was watching Fox News this morning and I saw the average student loan debt was $28,650, and that's from 2017, according to the New York Federal Reserve. That number also is reportedly low. They did say it could be as high as 34, potentially even more. And I would lean towards the more. When I graduated in 1990 from Drexel University, I had $36,000 student loan debt coming out. I was an independent student. I did pay for it myself. But still, it was only $20,000 a year to go there then. It's now $68,000 a year to go there. So you're talking more than triple the amount 20 years later. I'm imagining it's going to be greater than this amount we're seeing here. And here's an interesting part of it too. Is college really worth the investment? Only 4 out of the 10 college graduates, 4 out of 10, are using their degree on a job that requires one. So that's pretty interesting. And I'm one of them that falls into that 4 out of 10 because I'm doing real estate investing. Doesn't require a degree. Could have done it straight out of high school. So that's something that's pretty important. And when people are thinking about putting your kids to college, if you're planning on wanting your kids to take over your business or getting into real estate or something that doesn't require a degree, why send them? Why waste the money? Why give the money to these colleges who are just charging the heck out of us like crazy, overcharging us by a lot? And I don't feel that you're getting anywhere near what you deserve out of a college experience. All right. Now I get off that tirade. We'll get into renters versus homeowners. There's potential to be more renters than homeowners down the road here when you include millennials and Generation Z. Both those generations want to be more mobile and aren't interested in working one job for 20, 30, 40 years like our parents did or grandparents did. So that's something that's pretty important when you're thinking about it. So if you want to be mobile, you want to be renting. You don't want to be owning a home necessarily because you don't want to constantly be worrying about buying and selling. It's much easier to just rent. So, which means maybe rental values will go up and real estate won't go up quite as much in comparison to that. We'll see. Anyway, adding to debt, student loan debt is already bad enough. The average auto car loan just hit a high of $32,187. That's pretty high. That's for a new car loan. I think the average on a used was 20 and change. Still pretty high. So when you start adding 32,000, you start adding 30-some thousand student loan debt, it gets really hard to qualify for a mortgage. And this is according to Freddie Mac.
70% of renters believe renting is more affordable than owning. That's up 11% from February of 2018. So that's a pretty big increase, going from 66 to 78%. Pretty big, pretty stunning. So that's why you're seeing more renters. That's why you're seeing less rental availability. When I go out there and I look and I'm pulling things on Rent-A-Meter or Zillow, pulling these comps, just not finding a ton of rentals out there anymore because they're going off the market so quick. And give you a prime example, I had a property on the market in near where I am outside of Philadelphia in the suburbs, and I was trying to sell it, and somebody came in and I'm trying to get 50,000+ selling this property. But if somebody came along and was willing to rent it for a certain amount, I was willing to take that. And that certain amount was $1,400 a month. So I'm getting $1,400 a month on a property I'm into for $85,000. So pretty good return there. And that's something that $1,400, I would only been able to get about $1,200 a year and a half ago. So that tells you what the rental market is doing in different parts of the country, obviously. So that's an important tidbit and something important to remember. So right now we have 1.52 trillion in student loan debt. We have 8.8 trillion in mortgage debt, so just give you a comparison there, and 1.22 trillion in car loan debt. So that car loan and that student loan debt's adding up to quite a bit. Student loan delinquency rate is 11.2%. That's 90+ days delinquent, easy for me to say. And the average monthly payment of a student loan is $351 for that's for borrowers aged 20 to 30. And that'll continue to go up at different age groups here. All right, how to invest in this market. Timing's obviously important when you're looking at housing in general and looking at what kind of market you're going into. And I'm looking at doing more buy and hold. And I was not a big buy and hold guy, as a lot of you know, but I am becoming a buy and hold guy, just looking at long-term low interest rates, somebody else paying my mortgage for me, interest rates staying fixed at a low rate, building equity without doing anything, and little expenses, hopefully minimal expenses. And the houses I'm looking at for rentals are generally 100,000 and under. Some of them are 150,000 and under, depending on where you're looking. It's just, that's kind of the market you want to be in. So you don't want to be in a market in California or Phoenix, and those markets, you're not going to rent and cash flow properties there. Markets to target, as I said, avoid Arizona, Florida, California, and Las Vegas, the same markets that got pumped up before. Look to the Carolinas, look Indiana and Ohio. If you're looking for rental markets, look at Texas. Avoid like the plague New York right now, New Jersey. He had Ocasio-Cortez talking about not home ownership, but a home being a right over profits for a landlord. So just be careful. You're in New York, you're in some serious trouble. You're in New Jersey, you're in serious trouble. You don't want to own properties there. Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. And leave your feedback. Thanks.
Have you ever felt that you hit a ceiling as a real estate investor? Or no matter how much time and money you spend on marketing, you just can't find enough deals to feed the family? You know what I'm talking about. You spend thousands of dollars per month on marketing. Then you have to drive all around town looking at properties, negotiating and talking with home sellers just to have some cancel on you at the very last minute. Do you have a steady stream of phone calls each day pushing you towards closing the amount of properties you want to close on each month? You say that you're going to do more marketing, but now you need to hire someone to handle the dramatic increase in calls. In fact, you may even need to hire someone to go visit the houses and talk with the sellers. Or if you do it yourself, you run the risk of burning out, losing deals, and giving your hard-earned cash away to the ever-rising competition in your area for you to take a second of rest. The majority of people that we have surveyed would tell you that despite the fact that their marketing looks really good, rarely does it bring in predictable leads. What you need to add is a new lead source that fills in a gap and consistently allows you to buy more houses. You don't want to do what I did. I remember having to rely on spending thousands of dollars each month on marketing, spending half my day driving around without even getting a single bite. And when they did, they cancel on me at the last minute. I made decent money, don't get me wrong, but the constant, endless grind became unbearable to the point where I would question, is it even worth it? So what's the good news? The good news is today, things are totally different. I can buy houses anywhere in the USA without leaving the comfort of my own home. Did I mention my net profit on each deal is a lot higher now because my expenses are a lot less? Go to reoauctionacademy.com to learn how to buy houses in any market without leaving your home. I will show you real life examples on how I do it. Again, to learn more, visit reoauctionacademy.com.
Hello, fellow real estate investors. Just going over an article here. This is from auction.com. And the number of U.S. metro homes posting declines is 67% in Q1 from of this year, 2019, compared to Q1 of 2018. So 25 of the 178 cities, 14% of them posted a year-over-year decline in median home prices for the first time. So it's a sign that we're hit our peak. We're either plateauing or potentially near or at the decline, or at least we're not going up. Homes aren't appreciating at the same rate they were. I still think you'll see appreciation in a lot of markets. You're just hitting those markets like North Jersey, New York, California, that were just priced too high and the taxes are too high. So people are fleeing those areas. So you're seeing higher inventories in those areas and a declining market. You see in California here, you're going to have other markets and in Connecticut. Florida is even down a bit. Well, Naples anyway, some of the higher end markets, not your mid-sized markets out there. And they're talking about more of an equilibrium in the market where you have inventories up 20% in many of the markets. So with the increased inventory, it's not either a seller's market anymore or a buyer's market. You're right in between there in a lot of these different markets now. In my area, in the suburbs of Philadelphia here, we still have a decreased amount of inventory. So we still are in more of a seller's market. And prices are still increasing, especially in certain areas here. But there's other areas where it's declining, where it's just not quite as popular. And here is the map. And this map is great, again, like where I was telling you here in California, New York, North Jersey, and those areas, a little bit in Florida in different spots. And these are areas right here in Florida where the hedge funds really hit. And I think the hedge funds really just probably cut their buying in these areas. So you're seeing declines in markets like that, certain places in Texas, but Texas should be very strong for a long period of time. Midwest is always going to be good. It's a cash flow market. But you had some of these markets that were just pumped up a little bit too much. And, as long as there's good employment in these markets, you're going to still be solid. But it's just something to really keep your eye on because we are hitting that plateau where I think we may be on our downward side of this year where we decrease how much we're going up, and potentially maybe next year we have a year-over-year decline, home price decline, median home price decline. We'll see. I'm not sure if it's going there or not, but as long as the economy is okay, you should be all right there. And as long as rates stay low, we should be okay. But it wouldn't surprise me one bit to see if we have a small decline from 2019 going into early 2020. So we're still, 7 months away from that. But just definitely something to keep your eye on there.
You've been listening to Flipping Out with Paul Lizell, the #1 success platform for virtual wholesalers. Visit our website, thevirtualinvestor.co, for more information about how you can leverage virtual wholesaling to take control of your time, enjoy financial freedom, and live life the way you've always wanted to. Join us again next time for another informative discussion right at your fingertips.